Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another BestBall Roundtable. This time we are talking the PGA Championship. It's happening later this week out Valhalla. I've got a great group of guests. I'll go around the horn. David Kirsch joins us again. AJ Stuckey. We've got Joe Fellini, and then he wasn't able to join us last time, but Mark the Caddie is joining us today. So, guys, welcome. I do want to give a quick shout out, though, as we get started, to Western Birch. They are friends of the program, friends of Best Ball. I don't know if you guys have played with any of their golf tees. They're incredible. Yeah, I recently was gifted. I joined the Golfers Journal, Broken Tee Society, and their famous logo is the broken tee, right? Well, I've used these Western Birch tees a lot since I started working with Lewis and the guys, and I think I've broken one maybe. These things are really the most durable things ever. So I encourage you to check out westernbirch.com, get you some. They do have a promo for some free stuff if you use the code BestBall in the shipping cart. So check out Western Birch. We appreciate them being a friend of the show. But yeah, let's start talking about the PGA Championship. It's in Kentucky at Valhalla this week. So I know a few of you guys are from around that area. So I guess when you think of Kentucky, maybe AJ, we'll start with you. I think you're there in Indiana. What comes to mind when you think of Kentucky? It doesn't have to be golf related.
Yeah, besides Valhalla, since it's so close, it's only like an hour and a half away from me. I was thinking bourbon, horse races, and just UK and UK basketball.
All right. How about you, Kirsch?
I think, yeah, it's hard to think of anything different than that. But yeah, it's golf, it's bourbon, and it's horse racing. It's exactly what Valhalla is.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody have any other thoughts when you come to Kentucky, Joe?
AJ, I was with you, but I expanded the last one a little more and just said college basketball in general, so we can include Louisville in there.
Yeah.
Yep, they are playing in
Yeah.
Louisville. Mark, how about you? What's your thoughts of
Yeah,
Kentucky?
actually I do have a little something different. Louisville's a pretty special place to me. I back in 2016 actually completed the Ironman Louisville there, believe it or not. And at the 16-hour mark, stumbled across the finish line as one of the final people and even got to make it on the Louisville news. And so yeah, I haven't been there often. I've been there a few times, but it's a place that I hold near and dear. And so, yeah, really excited for the PGA to be there in a place that I love.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys nailed all of them. Louisville Slugger, right? If you're a baseball fan, you got the
That's
old
right.
wooden bats. But yeah, bourbon is one besides horse racing and stuff. I got a little Buffalo Trace here. One of the favorites that I love. But yeah, golf, right? It's a lot of things there, but we're here to talk about golf. So talk about Valhalla a little bit, just to give you some facts. I looked some of these things up, and I know Kirsch, you're good on these fact things as well. But Valhalla is hosting for the fourth time. Southern Hills has done it 5 times. Oak Hill 4. They hosted the 2008 Ryder Cup, among other things. And then the first time they did it, hosted the PGA in '96. Mark Brooks beat Kenny Perry in a playoff. 2000, Tiger beat Bob May in a playoff. 2014, Rory beat Phil by 1. And if you remember that one, that was when Rory was playing in the dark, which is ridiculous. So, what are your thoughts on Valhalla when you think about the PGA Championship going back there? Kirsch, let me start with you.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that always stands out, it's got really small greens for a major championship venue. You think about, especially that 13th, it's got a little island over there to the side, just a small target. You're hitting less than driver off the tee, but yeah, it's a big ballpark. I was lucky enough to be there for the Ryder Cup. I was there when Rory asked Phil and Ricky right there on the 18th tee to play up and kind of that drama. We were debating, do we head to the car because we could see the storms coming? And so I always think about that, but I also think this might be the end. This could be the last PGA at Valhalla, or at least the last PGA there for a while, since they sold it to Kentucky businessmen, and they've kind of moved their headquarters now down to PGA Frisco. So this could be the last of the four that we see, at least for quite some time. So, but yeah, I think of small greens immediately.
Yeah, that 13th with the moat around it and kind of it's elevated. It's got the stone wall. It's kind of crazy. AJ, have you played there before?
Yeah, I have. It was probably 10 years ago now. So it was before they did the reno on with the Zoysia, and I think 2019 or 2020, somewhere around there, they just did the Zoysia. So those guys are gonna eat that up, the fairways anyways. But it is like Kirsch said, like an approach course, 100%, which isn't my forte.
Yeah, but it's fairly long though, right? Like it still takes
Yeah.
some distance off the tee and
Oh, for sure.
but accuracy. Mark,
It's
what?
long, but it gives you that room. It
Yeah,
gives you that room. You don't have to be Bryson long and just overpower the course. You can be long and a little wild, and you're still in the fairway. And it keeps everybody, even the short hitters, it keeps you in the game if you can hit good long irons.
yeah. Mark, I know you were talking the other day. You had a player. You saw a player that was they had to tell him not to hit it too far on the driving range, and a lot
Yeah.
of these guys are like that, where they're bombing at 340 or something like that. So, how do you think the long guys versus the short guys are going to play it this week?
Well, I think the long guys, like he just said, you can hit it pretty far. It's wide enough that if you get into a little trouble, these guys hit it so far, they're not really in trouble. It's not like as long as they avoid penalties and whatever. So maybe we'll see some of the big hitters just have shorter shots in, and if their wedge game is on or whatever, they may have a real advantage. Maybe that's why Rory did so well the last time. Just bombing away.
Yeah, Joe, what from the three previous PGAs, what comes to mind for you? We talked about Rory kind of finishing in the dark, and like Kerr said, asked to hit his drive, but asked to hit his second shot as well. But what stands out to you about the PGAs that have been there before?
Well, that's what I was just thinking of, was him and Phil going down, and just that visual on TV. And I know that they can play with the filters to make it look a lot brighter on TV than it actually is. And I found it fascinating when they, if I'm not mistaken, they flicked it back just for a second and got rid of the filters so you could see how dark it was. And it was just fascinating to me to see them play it out like that. I thought it was really amazing. And, of course, I was hoping Phil would win because I'm a Phil guy. But yeah, I thought that's the memory I have from any of the PGAs there.
Yeah, if you look at kind of the still pictures of Rory holding the championship trophy, you really see how dark it is, right? Like the flashes are there,
Right.
and it lights him up, but everything else is pitch black, it seems. So it'll be a good week, a good test. Kirsch, I kind of wonder with you, like, are they going to do it there anymore? What do y'all think about? I mean, there's so many golf courses, so many, I think, good golf courses. What do y'all think about courses like Valhalla and Southern Hills and some of these others that host them over and over and over again? Do you think they should spread the love out more, or what do y'all think about that?
I definitely think they should. I would love to see some different courses be used. Yeah, when you brought up that question to us ahead of time, the one course, and I'll bang this drum until the end, that I wish some tournament, some tour would go play an event at Ross Bridge down in Alabama, because man, they can push that thing out to 8,000 yards if they want to. And you have the infrastructure. It's I think 10 miles from Birmingham. Yeah, I would just love to see a tournament at a place like that. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a
You
question
know,
I kind of posed to everybody. Where would you want to see it?
the thing that I think can get lost at times, and I know Joe, you're down there now, but you look at Pinehurst is the home of the USGA. They've moved from New Jersey. It's the home. And in order to make the US Open work, they're running miles of conduit underneath the current driving range. It's gone. It doesn't exist. The cradle is closed down and has become a driving range. the infrastructure that it takes to actually hold one of these events is the reason why it goes to so few. Between the clubs, between who can actually handle it, who can give it up. I think the PGA would be better served for picking 4 courses and having a rotation a la the Rota, with a 5th one being the one that gets to go to the new course. So the US Open has its little group, has its rotation, but it's always able to add. The Open Rota is what it is. The PGA has, or the Masters is obviously at Augusta. I think if the PGA really could do it, and being in May, has its advantages, especially if they could play with the week in May that it is, and it's not always maybe the 3rd week. But you could go to Sahali in Washington. You could go to TPC Harding Park. You have your California. You've got Frisco in Texas. You go to Kiowa in the Carolinas. That's your 4 rotations, and then you spread it around. And Aronimik gets one there in Philadelphia. Oak Hill can get one, when its time comes up, and you spread that 5th one around, but you build a little bit of a rotation where you get the regional demographics. You get that Texas pull, you get that West Coast time frame, you get that TV window that you're craving, and then you get that Kiowa draw right there on the ocean. And I think they could do some really good things if they move to more of a rotation like that.
Do y'all think, I like that idea. Do you think they should consider weather at the time of the year, right? Now that this thing is played in May every year? I saw the forecast. They're supposed to get some weather over the weekend. Should they consider weather as they decide, where's the best weather in May, and let's aim for that? AJ, what do you think?
Yeah.
Or go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was gonna. That's kind of a issue that I hold a little personal bias towards, a little sadness maybe that the PGA is in May now, because I work at a course that has hosted 3 of them and now won't be able to anymore, because if they came to us the last few weeks, it's just pure misery. The weather that we have had, the wind, the rain, the cold, all that kind of stuff. And so we know that our course can't be green enough, in good enough shape enough in May to host an event like that. So to your question of should they take weather into account? Yeah, I guess I think if they're going to hold it in May, it limits them a little bit. And, it is what it is, but it makes me a little sad that a place like Whistling Straits isn't going to be able to have it again as long as they keep it on the schedule like that.
AJ, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with him. Just not being able to have the ability to host at certain courses that either have hosted or haven't hosted. And speaking on like which ones I would love to see hosted, just ones that we don't get to see ever, like that. I can't remember what it is, but something's being held at Pine Valley here this year, I believe, and or maybe next year it is. But Pine Valley or like Peachtree or Cypress, or something cool and different. Just start tossing in some other ones, and to that same point with the weather. I mean, you just kind of got to build around the schedule of the year. I think they do a pretty decent job with most of them. Some of them doesn't even matter. I believe they're in a good weather state for most of the year time. But yeah, I'm with him on that, just because I would love to see it go back to Whistling Straits at some point. It'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, one question I didn't really prep you guys for, and that's the field, right? So this field is made up of, the PGA guys that have qualified, PGA Tour guys that have qualified. You've got live guys that either were invited or qualified, and then you've got 30 PGA professionals that are a part of the group. What do y'all think of this tournament? I mean, the PGA, I don't want to say it's the 4th in line of the majors, but it kind of is, right? Your Masters, US Open, the Open Championship kind of are the 3 big dogs, and then the PGA's, oh yeah, we got another major. What do you think about the field this week when it comes to all the different kind of groups that are pulling together? Joe, let me start with you on that one.
Well, I think if they played it right, they could really go with this thing. Like the whole block thing last year was really cool, and I think people like that. So I think if we could find a way to feature those guys a little more, I know it's so hard for them to make the weekend when there's more eyeballs on it, but maybe Thursday and Friday, put some more eyeballs on those guys, because I think that's and I don't want to use the word novelty, but it is kind of the novelty of the event, is that those guys get to actually play in the tournament. And I think if we're trying to find something to make it different, that's what they have that's different. So let's find a way to use that and get it in front of people.
Kirsch, what do you think?
I'm probably the opposite of Joe. I'd get rid of the PGA Pros altogether.
Really?
Just because this is now the strongest field in golf. Because it's the only it's the place where you get, the 54 tour guys from Live over. You get them in the field now. You don't have to deal with the amateurs. It's not an invitational like Augusta that has every past champion in there from the last 25 years. So inherently it's the only field where you have essentially the top 100 from Data Golf in it. It's the only one all season. So if they're going to lean into anything now, because it used to be the players and now with Live it's not, so that's where that lives. I used to like it because it kind of marked the end of summer, before so when it was in August, in this time frame, it's still a little new and different. You used to have that segment of the season that would either be the players, or you'd always be looking forward to the Memorial right now, because you knew that was when Tiger was going to come back, and then you had a week off after that, then you had the US Open. There was always this cadence that you had that I had growing up. And I think for them, they need to lean into. That's where I love the idea of them picking certain courses and having a minimum identity. Like, nobody needs to be Augusta. You don't need to be at one spot, but it'd be nice if you had a very constant rotation, so we could fall in love with, we know what that fifth shot's going to look like, or we know what that fifth hole, sixth hole, seventh hole, we know what that closing stretch is going to look like. We know what it's going to look like in the mist in out on the West Coast. So I think that if they could claim some course identity that gives them some regionality to it, and then lean into being the best field in golf, I think that's where they have the best opportunity.
Yeah, with the PGA itself being the ones that run this event, I don't think we're getting rid of the PGA professionals anytime soon. No. And I think I lean with Joe on that. I like the fact they're there. I like the idea of, hey, let's try to. I mean, what, there's 30 of them. Like, you could have 30 marquee groups or whatever they want to call it, and have one of these guys with each of the big name player, just to give them some exposure, some opportunity to for people to learn their names, because there's some good stories. I'm all about best ball. We're all about a good golf story, and there's 30 great golf stories right there that you want to highlight. You want to talk about where they're from, what good they're doing at their local course. Mark, AJ, as guys that are at courses, what do you think about the PGA players, the professionals getting an opportunity this week?
Well, you just made a a good way of doing it. I think if you had them all with some marquee players, because I think one of the challenges for golf is, obviously, they need the TV revenue. They need that the ratings to be strong, and right now there's some decline there. And as much as people say they like a Cinderella story or whatever, like March Madness and basketball, people tune in for the big dogs. Really, that's where the big ratings come in. The Final Fours that have the Cinderellas are the lowest rated ones, and so the people talking here are golf nuts, and the average person, if they're going to tune in on a Saturday or Sunday, needs those top players or a Tiger Woods to be in contention to tune in. But obviously, when you have something like Michael Block last year, that's a rarity, because he took it all the way into Sunday with a legitimate chance, and so and then was paired with some big names and stuff. So that was pretty cool and everything. But I think as far as the whole field, it's I don't think for the average fan the interest is there, which it makes it tough for television.
AJ, how would you make it interesting? How would you make these PGA professionals interesting?
That's a good question. I know you kind of asked a question similar to that beforehand, and I had a hard time answering that one. But you know, kind of like you said about the stories, you know, I mean, you can find these stories about these guys, you can learn the clubs where they're from, you know, and you can learn about new clubs, you know, you've never heard of, and there might be quite a few stories, you might have a connection there some way, you know. Yeah, I would just highlight the stories as the PGA pros, and I think Best Ball could do a few good interviews on some guys.
It's not for lack of effort.
Yeah,
So let me ask this. You mentioned Michael Block. Obviously, he has used every bit of his 15 minutes of fame that he got from an incredible performance last year. Will we have another performance? Maybe not from him, but from one of these 30 PGA professionals. Do you think does anybody have somebody that they might pick that this guy will at least make the cut? Joe, you got anybody?
Yeah, I'm thinking Preston Cole from Quail Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he won the assistants national championship last year, so I think he's certainly got an opportunity to make some noise here. So that's the guy I'll be following for sure.
Yeah, how about that? How about the PGA stop at your course the week before, and then you get to go play in the
Right.
PGA Championship?
I
Anybody
wonder
else?
if he
Anybody's
I
got?
wonder if he hopped a ride with anybody.
Yeah, seriously. I wonder how much he had to work last week, or if he was able to get out and practice some.
Right, right.
Anybody else have a name that we should follow?
I don't
No.
think
I
anybody
don't know
makes the
anyone who
cut.
will be
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who will make the cut, but I am curious to see how Michael Block will do. I mean, it was almost too predictable last year. One, that after the feel good story, people would turn on him, as like they did so quickly after he made the comment if he could drive as far as Rory or whatever, and it's like a made up controversy. But then, you know, the next week he gets invited, and I think he ended up dead last, if I remember correctly. And so it's, you know, it's just, it shows you the difference between the guys who just, like, it makes a Scotty Scheffler even more amazing to me, the consistent greatness or whatever. So I am curious though to see what Michael Block does, because you know, people will at least be familiar with him or whatever. And does lightning strike twice? I doubt it.
Yeah.
You won't have to wait long. He's hitting the opening tee shot, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that that brings up a good point. Talking about how well will he do, but it's also I saw this stat. The last 8 major champs have made the cut at the PGA. That means half of them have not made the cut. And I even look back, Scotty, who won, won the Masters a couple years ago, missed the cut the following at the PGA the following year. So, it's tough, right? It's golf. It's tough. It's going to be a tough test, especially if there's some weather involved, tiny greens, all this fun stuff. So let's talk about Scotty for a second, right? He's a new dad, right? That's changed. He's got another green jacket. He's a new dad as of a few days ago. Everybody who is a dad knows what that's like. He's probably on zero sleep. I think one of the funniest tweets I saw right before or maybe right after he won the Masters, like, yeah, you got a green jacket, but you're about to be humbled with this hospital bed that you get to sleep in the delivery room or the new parent room or whatever. But how do you guys think? How do you guys think Scotty's going to do this week, Joe? What do you think?
I think he's still going to be top 10. I mean, the guy's still playing really well. I know he hasn't played 3 or 4 weeks now, but I see him coming out, and I think that he's. I said this the last time we talked that he's made for majors. It seems like lately, so I'm going to at least put him in the top 10.
Okay, AJ.
yeah, I had him top 10 as well. I mean, I don't think anything changes for him. He's such he kind of has that DJ mentality, you know, just kind of even kill all the time. And I don't see him, you know, getting outside of the top 10. He's just, you know, the ball striker that he is, top notch.
Mark, Kirsch, do you guys differ? Do y'all think lack of sleep, new dad thing is going to throw him off his game?
I think by all accounts, the baby is relatively new, very new. And I don't think he's had a chance to miss 20 nights of sleep yet. And so I think he got there just in time. I think if anything, the rust would just from being off for 3 weeks, that hasn't statistically that hasn't gone well for people coming into a major with 3 weeks rest. But does he make the cut? Yes. Does he finish top 25? Yes. Am I ready to say top 10? There's going to be a leveling out, and if there's not, then we truly are talking about the Tiger. Then we really are in the cat zone of what it is. But he still has never won a PGA Tour event after the month of April in a calendar year. His top 10s, top 25s, they all go down. 0 wins after April. So it's not within, it wouldn't be unprecedented for him to start the season hot and then fall off.
Interesting stat there. Interesting. Mark, what do you think? How's Scotty going to do?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the guy, to be honest, and I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the darn thing. But I'm not predicting that per se, but just the level of consistency is unbelievable to watch. And so then it comes down to, does he make a few, putts? If that's on, then I wouldn't count him out.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm with you guys. I think he's going to play well. I think he'll be in contention. He'll probably be, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots off the lead on day one, and then make his move Friday, Saturday, and he'll be right there, I believe. So, well, kind of speaking of family dynamics, we're not going to talk too much about this, but news came out today about Rory getting a divorce. Very sad. You never want to hear that. So you feel for the family there, the daughter. But Rory is the one that won the PGA out Valhalla last time. We talked about Scotty with the new family dynamics. Rory, obviously, he's got a lot going on here, but it didn't stop him from winning at Quail Hollow because obviously something had been going on. How does that impact him? Who finishes higher? He's coming in off a win. Scotty's coming in off 2 wins and a baby. Who would you say is finishing higher, Rory or Scotty this week? Kirsch, what do you think?
Well, for the last 36 hours, a lot of people have been putting all their money in GameStop and AMC stock. I have been buying plots of land on Rory Island. I think Rory definitely finishes higher than Scotty this week.
Okay, Joe?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, they said that the new fairway turf that they put in is supposed to be really firm and fast. And like you guys said, fairway's a little wider. Yeah, so I think that plays right into his game.
Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I find it kind of sad that I saw all over Twitter today that people were thinking he's going to win because he got a divorce. Like his last major was before he was married, and it's like I don't know. I guess it's just sad how trivial people made it. But he obviously had that going on in his personal life last week, and he won. So I think he's going to do just fine.
Yeah, AJ.
Yep, I think sounds weird, but I almost think it's like a motivator. You know what I mean? Like he's got nothing left to really focus on, besides golf right now, and that's what it's going to be. I still think Scotty finishes higher though, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that are playing really well right now. Xander is one of those, except for his Sunday performance. Even though he shot even par, which even par Quail Hollow. I don't know if any of the 5 of us would do that, especially in tournament conditions. But before we talk about favorites, let's talk about long shots. Right? Had Michael Block last year, out of nowhere. Come up and had a pretty good week. So who would you guys pick as a long shot to at least contend? Maybe not win the thing, but be contending come Sunday. AJ, who's your long shot this week?
I had Jake Knapp.
Nice.
I just like the guy's game. He's got such a smooth swing, he just goes to tempo town. And I feel like he's been playing well. He had an off week last week, but played at TPC Craig Ranch, I think, the week before. And everybody pretty much scores well out there. But, I feel like that was a confidence booster. And then, Quail Hollow is not easy. So, but yeah, I don't think he has 2 bad weeks in a row.
Joe, what you got?
I'm going with a 7,000-to-1 shot, Min Woo Lee.
Nice.
Top 10 driving distance this year, top 20 accuracy off the tee. I think he could do some damage here.
Okay. Mark, you got a long shot there?
Oh gosh, is Ludwig Åberg a long shot? No, not after the Masters and stuff. But he became a household name for golf fans after that. No, I like the Jake Knapp pick. I feel like I've seen a lot of him so far in the early season, and um, so I agree with that. Like, very very nice swing, and also just he's just been jumping off my TV screen a little bit. So maybe some recency bias there.
Yeah. Well, when you had to go work as a bouncer or whatever he did before winning, that for sure is going to be a great story. Kirsch, what you got?
I just pulled up the odds, and I wanted to go something crazy off the board, or something really crazy. But as wild as I'm prepared to get would be Jason Day. I think Jason Day is plus 7,500, so 75 to 1. And I think with the performance that he put up at Augusta, as long as it's not super windy and his really baggy clothes aren't blowing in the wind, knocking him off center, I think the wide fairways are going to play into his, and he's been so solid this year. So that's where I would lean toward seeing somebody contend would be Jason Day.
Yeah, he's playing very well. I wanted to go with somebody like a Grayson Murray or something. Like he's kind of sneaking up there. You know, Rory tells you to play better. It looks like he has a little bit, but I'm gonna go. I'm rocking the Tree Farm hat. I got to play there, so I'm gonna go. This is definitely a long shot. Plus 50,000. Zach Blair, the old Tree Farm guy. So we'll go Zach Blair as my long shot pick. So rooting for you, Zach. When you win, we'll all come join you at the Tree Farm for a celebration. So, all right. So, come Sunday, guys, let's talk about winners, right? It's going to be a great tournament, right? Even though some consider it the fourth of the four majors, it's going to be a great tournament. One that I think will, like we've talked about, bring up viewer ratings. People will be watching. There is a tendency for kind of a random person to win. Jason Duffner, Keegan, the Sean McKeel. The list goes on and on and on. But let's pick some winners, right? Who do you think's going to win? Mark, I want to start with you. Who do you have winning this year, the 2024 PGA Championship?
Oh, I want to pick Ludwig Åberg, but actually, I'm going to pick John Rahm. We haven't talked about him much, but I don't know. I don't get into the whole live PGA debate, but my gut tells me a live guy. There's going to be somebody who rises up. Like there's got to be, if for no other reason than spite, and anger, then and obviously somebody like Rahm can win any tournament he enters, and so that's just what my instinct tells me, that he got a little annoyed at the Masters with the way some people treated him per se, and I think he's kind of frustrated with all the narrative around him. So I think there's a chance.
Yeah, I saw the comments. I think they were from today, where he was saying, I'm still a PGA member. I might be suspended, but
Yeah,
I'm still a member. I like it.
yeah.
I would play events if I could, but I just can't right now. So, all right, I like the Ron pick. Joe, what you got? Who you got winning this year?
Well, you messed me up with the stat talking about repeats not even making the cut, but I'm gonna go with another lib guy. I'm going with Koepka. He just seems to rise up in majors, man. This guy smooth, doesn't get flustered. I got to watch him 2 years ago at the Masters when Rahm won, and he just seemed to just be rolling. And I'm just going with Koepka. I think he can repeat.
Yeah, if anybody can, he's definitely one that could, and he just won the live event, if I'm not mistaken. So he's playing well right now. Kirsch, what you got?
Max Homa is going to win here or at Pinehurst. So I'm going to pick him for this one, and I'm preemptively picking him for Pinehurst if he loses this one. So, but I think he said it in his press conference at RBC at the Heritage, and he said, typically I've been since 2020, I played extremely well on the West Coast, and I've stunk in majors. This year I stunk in the majors, and I finished T3 at the Masters. So I feel like the game is heading in the right spot. He's obviously plenty long enough. The putting has come around. It's really going to be, can he get those wedges just a little bit closer? Can he sink just a couple more putts? But I'm going to go with Max.
He would be a very popular pick. Very popular. Either there or at Pinehurst, so or both. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
AJ, what you got? Who you got winning?
I want to say Rory so bad, but it's so hard to pick somebody 2 weeks in a row. So I'm gonna go with Ludwig.
Okay. Why is that?
I say the guy's he's due. You know what I mean? He's due. He hasn't been far from it. So I got faith in him, and I mean, I don't think I've seen him play bad really yet this year.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned earlier, PGA is one where somebody can seemingly come out of nowhere, maybe win their first, maybe their one and only major. I think this guy is going to win his first event here in the States. I don't think it'll be his only major, but we're going to go with Jonathan's favorite, Tommy Fleetwood. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood to win this year. I just think he's due, right? Like, he's a solid player. I think he could make something happen. He seems to always be somewhat near the top, and I'm going with Tommy to make it happen this time.
Only
So,
thing that would concern me there is if it gets wet. He's not very long, and he's gonna be going into the small greens with a whole lot more club than other people will be.
hey man, it's Kentucky. He's a mutter.
His mutter was a mutter.
His mutter was a mutter. No, that's awesome. So, all right. So, one final question: what are you most looking forward to about watching the PGA Championship? Kirsch, I'll start with you.
I was hoping I was gonna get to go last so I could draft off somebody's better answer there. Um,
Is Eli pumped about watching it?
He is. He actually has a tournament that morning, so we will be. We'll go from tournament right back into watching it. Um, I I think this is where the golf season. There's that January February quick run where you get Kapalua, you get Genesis, you get Scottsdale. You know, you get that quick little run, Torrey, and then you move over and you got that little bit of a lull. I know, Augusta obviously stands alone, but then you go from here. You had Quail last week. You go from here to the Memorial to U.S. Open into the Scottish, which is coffee golf season, and then you go into the British. So for me, this is like that. This is that anxious, exciting because I feel like this is where the meat of the season happens, and this is where it goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing who is going to join Scotty because I don't think it will be him. So who's going to join Scotty as the main storyline for the rest of the year?
Okay, Mark, what you looking out for?
Actually, is somewhat related to that. I'm most excited to see how Scotty Scheffler actually plays. Like, not so much who's going to join him, but like, and I would add to that, and Rory. Like, I find they're both to be pretty compelling storylines this week, and I tend to think they're both going to be fine. But if one of them wins, that'll be a major story. And then if one of them doesn't like make the cut or something, whatever, then the conventional narrative will come out. But yeah, I'm really quite interested to see how they both respond to these big life events.
Okay, AJ, what's your storyline?
So I'm taking the wife on Sunday. We're going to the Sunday round, and
Nice.
yeah, so I'm excited to go that, and I look forward to seeing who hoists the trophy on Sunday at the final round.
I'll have to get some correspondence on our replay show from you.
Absolutely.
All right, Joe. I know you are in an area now that is setting up for the next major, but what are you looking forward to for the PGA?
Well, I think I go back to what Kirsch said. That I believe it was Kirsch. You said that you don't think that they're going to be at Valhalla again for a long time, and so to me, I'm going to focus on the course. I really want to, do a deep dive into the course and just keep soaking it all in. So I make sure that if they don't come back, it'll be a memorable course for me going forward. And AJ, so you'll be the storyline because you'll be there, right?
Yeah, right.
He will be the storyline. One person we've heard AJ is going to be there. One person I don't think we've said. We mentioned in the earlier highlight because he won the 2000 version of it, but Tiger. Nobody's mentioned Tiger this whole conversation. How do you think he'll do? Anybody?
I was just gonna mention look for me on TV. I'll have a Tiger Woods shirt and it's got like 100 faces of his all over it. So I'm praying to God he makes the cut.
Anybody else? What do y'all think about Tiger this week?
Just stay healthy, Tiger, so you can come to Pinehurst. That's all I care about.
Kirsch, what you got?
Tiger makes the cut, finishes T35.
All right. Mark?
Well,
Love it.
I guess I'm just I'm skeptical. I just wait for that body to break down. I go into every big tournament now just expecting to see him struggling to get around by Saturday and Sunday after starting somewhat strong.
Yeah. Well, let's hope not, right? Let's, like you said, stay healthy. One, to get to Pinehurst so Joe can hang out with him. But two, just to be healthy, because it's not fun seeing him in pain. Well, AJ, you might be needed for caddy duty, because I know Ted Scott's going to be Ted going to be gone for his daughter's graduation or something like that. So be ready. I know Mark's already lobbying for the gig, but but guys, it'll be fun. We'll reconvene to chat about what happened. Hope you all enjoy watching this edition of the PGA Championship. But appreciate all you guys. We'll get Jonathan and Jason back on our recap show to talk about what happened at the PGA Championship. But until then, thanks everybody for joining us for another Best Ball Roundtable.